Greetings everyone and welcome to a new video on my YouTube channel. Today we're here to discuss around Veeam Backup for Azure version 2. This has been announced recently and let's see what is new within this new version 2. So the first thing is the deep integration with Veeam Backup and Replication version 11. This means that we are going to be able to see all the policies on Azure, all the policies of course from VMware, from Hyper-V, HP, all the agents. We will be able to see them within one single console. In the case that we need to create, for example, extended reporting around what is protected, what is not protected, we will be able as well to do it with Veeam ONE version 11, which should be over here, but I didn't draw it. So just take in mind that all of this will be integrated. What else for the version 11 integration and all of this under the single pane of glass? Imagine that you want to restore a VM within Azure, that it came from an Azure backup. You will be able to do right click within the Veeam Backup and Replication and do the restore from the snapshot within a few seconds. You will be able to have that VM back into the same place or into a different place, into a different Azure account, networking, and so on and so forth. So it's really powerful. And of course, you can just always take your virtual machines from VMware or Hyper-V or agents and direct restore them into Azure. And the other way around, if you have Azure VMs that you are protecting already and sending them into Azure Blob Storage, you will be able to send them restore them back into VMware. So that's absolutely great, really deep integration. But what else is new? Talking about blob storage, right? So now we will be able to see different tiers over here. So you will be able to save your daily incrementals, for example, within the hot blob storage, but maybe for the weeklies, monthlies, yearlies, maybe they will fit much better on the Azure cold storage. Why is that? At the end, it's really to help you to save money within the backups for long-term retention, right? If you can just configure this at the policy level, or you can just let Veeam automatically do this for yourself as well. So what else is new over here? The application aware. Application aware means that now if you check that on the policy, we will try to trigger the VSS snapshot on the Windows machines. For the Linux machines, you will be able to inject as well like a pre-freeze script and a post-thaw. You will be able to do these scripts as well for Windows VMs, but well, if you're running, for example, like a Microsoft SQL server, we will trigger the VSS snapshot anyway. So application aware is one of the most required, really enterprise features that everyone was asking for. So that came as well with Veeam Backup for Azure version 2. So, but what else is new? It's always something else new, right? With Veeam Backup for Azure. So over here, the API on version 1, the product, it has like a private API, and now it has been moved to public API, meaning that if you are doing some orchestration around it or taking it all the data and showing it into some sort of dashboarding system, all of that, it will be now much more faster. So what else is new? The export and import of the policies. Imagine that you have around 100 policies, right? And then all of them, they are different. So you have different VMs over here, different VMs over there, and different retentions. Playing now, imagine with the application aware, yes or no, playing with the Azure hot or cool. All of that, you will be able to export those policies or the policies that you want, and you will be able to tweak them maybe because it's on a JSON format and add them later on. Or for the disaster recovery, for example, if you just lose the VBA appliance, you can just deploy a new VBA appliance, connect to the storage, but the policies, you will be able to add the policies by a simple import. So that's quite huge if you ask me. The GUI with the star, it's because it has been redesigned. Now it just mimics what Veeam Backup for AWS version 3 has. So when you are creating a policy, it is quite simple. It's really harmonized, so you can just follow the steps, and it will help you to understand the costs of your policy. It will help you as well to understand much better the snapshots when they're created, the backups as well of those snapshots, and the retention and so on. It's really simple, and now it has been redesigned completely. So you will find it in a different way, but it will be much better and simpler when you create the policy. What else? The updated 2.0 This is really, really important because, of course, these appliances are based on Ubuntu, but when they will not be alert you only when a new version of the product goes out, but as well, imagine this root vulnerability that it was not that long ago, or SSH, or anything around the operating system itself. You will receive the notifications within your GUI and be able to trigger the update of those packages without any problem directly on the GUI. You do not need to do any SSH, you do not need to do any extra maintenance. All of that will be already on the GUI. I have everything ready here, so I think the next step that we can do is do together, maybe deploy it from scratch, see the integration with the Veeam Backup and Replication version 11, maybe take a look into this Azure hot and cool, and then maybe take a look at any of these other new things together. So let's go into the lab and I'll see you there.
First step will be to go to the marketplace, the Azure marketplace. Let's search by Veeam. And now it should appear here, showing all the applications that Veeam has on the Azure marketplace. I think for the purpose of the demo, we will just select the Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure Free Edition. So that's create, and then that will move us to the virtual machine application creation. So let's put a name here for the subscription, for the resource group. Okay, we could select, of course, an existing resource group, but in this case, I'm going just to select to create a new one. The name of the VM, okay, VBA version 2 Azure, and I wanted to deploy on Europe, UK, South. Okay, now on here we can select SSH public key, or we can just introduce an username and password. I think I'm going to introduce like a username and password, and then I can change all that SSH security maybe later on by directly from the SSH service. On disks, well, nothing, it's premium SSD, so that's good. On the networking, once again, you could select just an existing networking if you want, or you can create everything from scratch and everything will be new. So in this case, I will just go next, and nothing about monitoring or anything additional, not custom data, so we do not need to add any scripts or anything on here. Into tags, well, you could always add some tags in the case you're using them, but it's not my case. And if we're happy with everything, then we will go on here and then just create the virtual machine. Okay, so the deployment has started and everything will be created automatically for you. So that means all the VM, the appliance, the networkings, all the on this case all the security groups as well, plus the public IP. Yeah, absolutely everything that the deployment will need. It finished. So if we go to the resource, we can take here, copy the public IP address, and then if we go through HTTPS into another browser or another tab. Okay, let's click in advance to accept the SSL certificate, because of course I'm just accessing through an IP, and that will always show us the error. Let's put this username and password that we introduced it before. Okay, so that is this username and this password. After we read the whole EULA, we just acknowledge and we click that we have read it, click accept on here. And now we have a few steps that we need to do before we have everything working. First thing is, of course, add our Azure account, the account where we have our production VMs. So in this case, I'm going to select this Azure account over here. Okay, my production Azure account where my VMs are. Let's click here next. I think I'm going to create the service account automatically. That means that I need to copy this code over here, open the kind of SSO from Microsoft, and then now selecting that I want this specific account, and that's all done. now the appliance will create the service account and everything that it needs for you. So that's good. Let's click next. Now this will probably jump into the Active Directory part, but I do not have to do anything in this case. Let's click finish. And well, first step, it's done. So let's move into the repository accounts. Okay, yeah. Let's go here into add and create the repository account. So that's for the RIP account. And I can put here your Azure account for the backups. Well, for the backup repositories. Okay. So I can go click on here next, create repository account automatically. So yeah, that's fine. Once again, I can just introduce this, go into the single sign-on, put this the code, and then log in into my tenant. This repository account, it can be a different account of what you have in production. You can do that, and if you see the Veeam diagrams, you will probably see that it's recommended to use kind of a separate backup account just to keep the security a bit higher, right? Okay, SMTP, nothing about that for today. I'm not going to get any email, of course, of this. Backup admins, you can add more admins if you need it. Okay, let's go into repositories. So for this, we will need to have already a storage account itself. So we go here into EVA repo 001, my first backup repository. We will select that repo account that I created before. Storage account, once again, this needs to be created. You cannot create them from here. So I have quite a lot on here because this is for the use of other Cs. So I just select here, and then on the container, if I create a new folder, yeah, it appears my container called GDLC blob, and then I can create a new folder on that specific blob storage container. So let's call it VBA repo 001. And yeah, let's use this, and let's click on here. Okay, summary sounds good to me. Oh, sorry, yeah, on options, let's go and let's do the auto create all tiers. This is new, as you remember from the whiteboard. So auto creating the tiers will let Veeam handle all of this new functionality. I'm going to enable encryption, and that will be really important for later on when we connect it through the Veeam Backup and Replication. Okay, let's click finish here, and now the appliance will connect to Microsoft Azure, and it will create whatever it needs to be created. So in this case, 2 different backup repositories, 2 different blobs, one in hot and another one in cool. So okay, now if we go on here, we have pretty much everything on the wizard. Let's go to the last step, which is creating a backup policy, right? So let's call here VBA. And now, what should I call this? Okay, VMs, policy to protect Azure VMs in the UK, selecting this Azure account, which is the production account, and now selecting the region where I have these specific VMs that I want to protect. Now we can select the resources that we want to protect. For now, it's virtual machines only on this version 2, but I guess that will change in the future. Okay, I want to pick these 3 VMs, for example. That's fine. Of course, you could just pick them from DAX, from so many different source of the data. Okay, let's go on next on here. Okay, so guest processing. This is another new feature from version 2. You can enable the application aware snapshots that will trigger the VSS. You can as well add Linux or Windows scripts for the pre-freeze and the post-thaw when we do the snapshot. So that's a neat new feature. Okay, enable the backups, of course. Yeah, let's go here in next. Let's put that we want some dailies. Okay, so snapshots every hour and then backups once per day. You can see that I can select the repo. It's going to select the repo hot for the dailies, and then weeklies, monthlies, and yearlies. For the yearlies, we'll select here, go to the cool one. Then the weekly, we cannot change that, so probably we'll manage it, the appliance itself, when it needs to be moved to another region. The cost estimation, really good. You can see all of here how much it's going to cost you, the snapshots, the backups, traffic, transactions. So this is super neat to avoid any future kind of problems or surprises at the end of the month, right? With the bill, we have everything ready, so we click on finish. And then the policy is here. We need to allow kind of a couple of seconds, so everything finished and it's created. Let's click and start. So we force it to start doing something, and it will trigger, of course, what we selected on the policy, right? So we selected like that will be like hourly snapshots, and I will be an everyday backup for the short-term retention at least. So that is what is going to start doing after I click on start. So now hourly we will have a snapshot. So the snapshot, it has been created already because it's super fast. This took a few seconds to create the first snapshot, and now the backup, it will take a bit more because it needs to create the one snapshot, and then after that it needs to move that the new blocks, on this case is an active full, is the first one, move everything to the Azure blob hot in this case. Now if we go into the Veeam Backup and Replication, you can see over here I have version 11, so this is quite important. You need to have Veeam Backup and Replication version 11 and the plugin. So if I go into backup infrastructure and I go into manage servers, you should have already this option called Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure. Let's connect to an existing appliance because we have already deployed that just before, right? So let's select the Microsoft Azure account. Okay, checking which regions do I have access and everything. Let's pick that my appliance, it's on the UK South, if you remember. And now let's point to the appliance which I have on that region. In this case, it's this one. So there are another appliances from other colleagues, but let's select that one. And then let's put some description so then I know later on what's what. VBA version 2 Azure, Jorge de la Cruz. Okay, simple enough. Let's go and use direct connection because I don't have any VPN or anything. For the credentials, well, remember the credentials that we introduced when we deploy the appliance, right? So those are the credentials that you need to introduce on here. If you do not remember for some reason, you can go into the Azure portal and change that VM password without any problem. Let's go here and next. And this should not take long to connect everything. Good. So now we can see the repository. So it has detected already the two repos that it auto-created, the appliance, the policy when we add everything. So let's put here the storage account and the share key to access to that specific specific blob storage where we have backups, the dailies, the weeklies, the monthlies, everything, right? So I'm doing this for the, okay, let's use as well the encryption password. Remember, we add an encryption when we were creating this on the Veeam Backup for Azure. So now we need to put the password on here as well when we add it into the Veeam Backup and Replication, just to add the extra security, right? Okay, let's select OK. And now that we have finished the hot, let's do the same with the cool one because I have it here. And this should be easier and faster because I have already everything pre-populated, right? So let's select here, here, and there. Okay, that's all done. If I go next, now what it's doing is just well, adding that integration into the Veeam Backup and Replication. This will add all the policies. It will kind of emulate the backup chains into the Veeam Backup and Replication, and apply the licensing as well into those VMs that you have, that you're protecting in Azure, right? This has finished, so next and finish. And now if we go into the home, there you go, surprise, now you have your policies from Veeam Backup for Azure under the same GUI, under your same Veeam Backup and Replication console that you like and love. So you can see over here, yeah, I have my VMs here. You can see if they were snapshots, if they were backups. So this is really comfortable that every day you can just go here and check whatever it is on-prem or on the cloud. If I go into backups and snapshots, I can of course restore this into Microsoft Azure directly, because these are snapshots that live and reside on Microsoft Azure. So this is the wizard, nothing complex. You can just select the point in time that you want and select next, and you will be able to trigger the restore natively. External repo, these are backups that have been moved into the blob storage. The difference is that you can do instant recovery back to VMware or Hyper-V, do a direct restore into EC2, so do kind of between clouds conversions. That's amazing. And then if you want to be a bit curious here, you can just see the path of those backups. One last thing from my side is the licensing once again. So leveraging the universal licensing, you will be able directly through the VBR to see which VMs are consuming licensing from the cloud.
And that's everything, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video here with me. If that's so, please leave some comments over here and maybe hit the subscribe button as well. Search me on social media or in the community.veeam.com or in the forums if you have any questions. And if you have not downloaded just yet, please go into the marketplace, download the Veeam Backup for Azure version 2. It's free forever for up to 10 VMs. So I mean, you can always try it without any compromise. And that's everything. So hopefully you enjoy the video and see you soon. Bye.